Good day everyone and welcome back to another video of the 2021 Nestbox series. Sorry to keep you waiting just a little bit longer than usual between college and moving homes. There was a lot going on this week, hence the little bit of a late video, so for that I apologise. But we're here now and we have a jam-packed episode for you. And as you can see in the thumbnail, something big happens today. It's a technical moment, or at least one of them. Biddy starts laying her eggs. So we see her here on the 17th, and she doesn't, I don't believe, lay one on the 17th, as you can see her tucking in for the night after doing her some finishing touches on the nest. And we see her here getting up on the 18th, and I don't believe there is an egg in the nest yet. But she comes back in at 6:30, and something very interesting happens. She actually tucks down as if she's going to sleep, as if it was in the evening, but it's only 6:30 in the morning. So I actually think she's laying her first egg here. So as you can see, she's tucking her head under her wing as if she was going to sleep. And she actually sits like this for the next 5 minutes. Now I want you to look very carefully when she's getting up. She kind of does a scuffle getting up and pushing material back on the nest cup. You'll see it here now. And she's pushing material back, but if we take a bit of a look, I believe that is an egg. Now it's not the most gracious view of an egg, but I do believe that is her first egg, and we will get other glimpses of it as the day goes on. And it amazes me every year just how well they hide their eggs. So if you can imagine us being a predator looking in through the nest hole, it would be very hard to distinguish that eggs from the feathers. Even we at the moment are not 100% sure if it's an egg, but it looks a little bit more solid than the feathers. So as I mentioned in other videos, the actual nesting activity during the day has lessened as there's not a whole lot going on. Miley pops in every so often and always followed by Biddy. And she brings in the odd bit of material, a few feathers here and there, for always making the nest just a little bit softer. But she's always careful to do that sort of scuffle as she leaves, pushing material back over the eggs. And as the evening draws to a close, you can see we cannot see any eggs there. But Biddy arrives in and starts bedding down for the night. She does this by doing a few nest and shuffle, which is pushing all that material that was blocking the eggs back to the sides. So she should lay an egg every day until she feels she has a full clutch. That can be anything from 4, 5 to 11 and 12 depending on the bird. But we do get a very small glimpse of what I do believe to be the first egg again just here coming up now. So if we zoom in there, you can see it looks a lot more solid than the feathers. But again, we are only speculating, but I'm nearly positive that is an egg. So I've managed to actually lose the footage of the 19th, so we're going to have to skip straight to the 20th. So, what happened during that lost footage? Well, more of the same. It's more of the day. You see she gets up in the first hours in the morning, and let's take a look at that nest. You can clearly see a shape of 2 or possibly 3 eggs in there. They're very hard to find when the nest is in color mode. It's actually easier in black and white, or in my case, pink and black. I'm not sure why the night camera goes so pink, but there you go. But again, we see Biddy arrive in at 6:30 and proceeds to sit down on the eggs, and I think she's laying. So she seems to leave in the morning and come back and then lay an egg. So I believe there may be 2 eggs in the nest now, and I think we're about to have our third. And this would be a very tasking time for Biddy. She'd be using a lot of her reserves and energy in producing these eggs. And the mind just boggles at how she managed to produce 1 a day. It really is amazing. But you can see here, she seems to be panting. So I do believe this is actually her laying an egg. So 10 to 15 minutes later, do we get another view of the eggs? Well, we do. You can see at least 2 in there, and I would suspect there is a third in there as well. And I'm not sure about any of you, but I do believe Biddy seems to be getting scruffier on the face as days go on, so I'm hoping that this is not taking too much out of her. I hope she's okay and healthy. So not much else happens on the 20th, and we see as she goes on to the 21st, you can see her hop up, and I think we just got a glimpse of the 2 or 3 eggs there. And you can see some nesting behaviour coming up, where she's turning the eggs, she goes down and shuffles them and moves them about to help spread the heat. Now, she wouldn't be fully incubating them just yet, as once she starts incubating them, she can't really stop. Once the life cycle of the eggs actually begin, they need to be kept warm. But up to that point, they can actually do with being chilled every so often and still survive. It's only when the incubation starts that it needs to be kept going as such. And this technique of delayed incubation would help ensure that all the eggs hatch in and around the same time. And not all bird species actually do this way. A barn owl, for example, will start laying and incubating at the same time, so the first chick is a lot older than the last chick hatched. And that method is all okay if you're really only hoping to at the very least, get 1 chick raised to adulthood. But where blue tits chicks are concerned, the mortality rate once they leave the nest is very high, so they need to help ensure all chicks make it to fledging. So if some predation occurs outside the nest, that some chicks still survive, as there was a number of them that did fledge. But compare this with the barn owl. Once the barn owl chick fledges, there is a much greater chance that it, 1, won't be predated on, and 2, will survive. And it really is amazing, or at least at the very least I find amazing, that nature does these different techniques for different species, and they've learned to do what best suits them for their overall species survival. And I would imagine this all just comes down to natural selection. The birds or blue tits that didn't follow this technique had very little young survive, and over time this technique is the one that works for the species and the one that was inherited by the future generations of the birds. But back to Biddy and Miley. We see Biddy here on the 22nd, and she seems to have more eggs in the nest. But how much does she have? She keeps bringing in some material, and she kind of does this right up until the chicks are hatched. She'll always keep touching up the nest and making sure conditions are well kept for it. But we do get a nice glimpse of some eggs here. You can see here, it looks like we can see 3, but I would imagine there is at least 5 there. It looks like if you imagined 3 eggs laying there, to be held in that position, it looks like there should be 2 there, if not 3. So I'm thinking we have 5 eggs personally. So we see her come in at 7:10 and starts bedding down for the evening again. Will there be another egg tomorrow? Well, we'll just have to find out. You can see here on the 23rd, there seems to be at least 4 there that we can see, but she's doing a very good job of hiding those eggs and not letting us get a clear glimpse of it. And I often wonder, does she try to hide it from the entrance of the hole? You can see there's always seems to be a little ledge of feathers just in between the nest and the hole. I wonder, is that on purpose? Again, it's only speculating, so I don't know. And there's our 5 eggs so far. Now I think Biddy is actually starting to incubate on the 23rd. So it's going to be a small clutch by the looks of things. You can see her in the afternoon and starting to incubate. But that's where I'm going to leave it today. And thanks as always for watching. I do have a new video out about how nature's helped me and others through COVID and the lockdown. I'm going to leave the link in the description, and I'll put it up in the top right corner. It would mean the world to me if yous all went and had a wee nosy at it. Because not only did I put a lot of work into it, but it is an important message. So thanks as always, and thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.